Hello. This is so exciting. It's been, what, 3 months? 3 months since we've done this. Oh my goodness. Oh no, not this, not the Wi-Fi giving me the signal of raggy. But I'm so excited to be here. We're here, me, CLC, Morning Tea, to talk about everything BBH16. It's going to be unfortunate when we hit like the upper 20s where that doesn't rhyme anymore. And I'm not sure what we're going to have to do there. But I am not alone. I'm here with some amazing production members who absolutely killed it on day zero, being on a shit ton of calls, so I didn't have to, and kept y'all updated with all the tea. And we're here to discuss day zero. Oh, and one of them left. He'll be back, I assume. Let's bring them on one by one. He's decked out in all orange today. He is the winner of Big Brother Hometowns 3. It is Max Teddy.
3 for 3. I am the first guest on Morning Tea with CLC. It's my only personality trait on Morning Tea with CLC. I'm just kidding. No, I'm very happy to be here to talk about another day zero. And I'm so excited.
Let's bring in another winner of our series who also ate her own day zero, and she's here to talk about who's following in her footsteps. Hint, hint, wink, wink. It's Crystal.
Morning. I'm here for the tea. And I got so many people following my footsteps. I'm so proud.
And we'll get into it, but man, this cast really delivered on day zero in their own way. But like everyone was around. And finally, he is here. He's clothed, and I imagine he'll fight someone on this stream. It's Mitchell Stokes.
Coffee! Coffee. Hey, babe. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh my goodness. Alrighty. But before we get started, just some quick updates. So, one, I'll be posting on the Facebook later today, probably in like an hour and a half. March Madness is back for sport. If you'd like to be involved in that, all the sign up. Ooh, is there an echo? Just me? No. Okay.
Wait.
It was you for a second, babe, but you're fine now.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, it's good now. Okay. So weird. I'll be posting up signups, all that info later in the day, probably about 90 minutes. So if you want to be involved in that, if you like sports, we did it last year. Let's do it again.
Wait,
today.
Carl, wait. The new music. We didn't talk about it.
Oh,
the new team music.
The new team music is lovely. Josh commissioned it from someone I don't know. I think a mutual friend, maybe of Josh and you, Stokes.
One of our mutual friends, their friend, one of Josh and I's mutual friends, their friend commissioned the music. We commissioned the music for them for the new Morning Tea music. So go back and check it out at some point today. It's really cute. And the new
Super
graphic
cute.
and everything, like get your merch, get your Morning Tea with CLC merch, like get it all done.
Please. Oh geez, where's the banner? Oh no. Big Brother Hometowns.
Oh,
store.
We're getting back in the swing of things.
It's been 3 months. It's been 3 months. So we got March Madness, all the fun stuff on the store. Go back and check out that music, even though you'll hear it literally every day.
You have like 15 minutes to do your draft if
Yes.
you have not done so, or the bingo card.
Yeah, got about literally 22 minutes, and we're locking it down. And then the last announcement is, and we'll talk about it today in terms of like who we think's going to win, how we think this is all going to play out. But today is our first head of household competition entitled The Plague. Shocker. Anyone who follows our series should not be gobsmacked at all by this, and if they are, shame on you. So we will crown our head of household winner, and then we will have nominations later tonight. So we will have our first head of household, our first nomination. So we'll finally have some calls that are maybe not just like get to know you formality. So we'll be streaming those. And we'll finally be in like the thick of the game. Finally.
I'm ready.
But let's talk about day zero. Any high level thoughts about the first 24 hours in the house?
I'm in love with Louise and Michael.
as we all
And
are.
And then
Yep.
talking to
Uh-huh.
her.
What I'm so excited about this cast. We were excited about them preseason, but like everybody showed up. Everybody was present. They had a group call last night, and every single person was active on the call at one point or another. That has never happened in the 6 seasons that I have been on the production team. And I'm thinking even in the last 10 seasons since I've been around Big Brother Hometowns, I can't think of a cast that has been 100% attendance in terms of being active on day 0, which is so exciting. I mean, it's going to be hard because we're going to have to get right to cutting some of our people that we've grown to love so fast.
Yeah.
There's not going to be no inactive boots, but it's going to be a fun season based off of if day 0 was any indication.
Someone needs to take a note for whenever we do the evolution of strategy. This was finally the season everybody showed up.
Yes.
Season 16, everyone showed up to that first group call.
Not that. No, it was just refreshing to see everyone give it a good go. Like, and we'll talk about it. The veterans, I think, continue to excel more than the newbies did, except for Michael. I think Michael's the only newbie who really
he
understood
prepared.
the assignment.
He knew
he understood the assignment.
And props to Anthony, Michael's gonna pave his own path that is separate from Anthony. But like, props to Anthony for giving his friend the tools to walk in and be successful on day 1. Now I'm really excited, and I know we're gonna talk about Michael a lot today, but I'm really excited to see what he does with that knowledge to forge his own path forward in this game. And I think he has like a lot of the qualities to do really well. I just need him to zip the lip just a little bit.
We'll get there.
Get up, bub.
He's
Just a little
so
bit.
genuine and so innocent. So good. So pure.
So let's hop in. Let's talk about and let me be very careful about how I say this. Let's talk about the winners in terms of just strict numerical calls that they were on. Does not mean that their calls were successful. And let's talk about someone who I think is going to be polarizing in terms of what we think her trajectory looks like, and that is Bridget. Bridget was on a lot of calls yesterday.
So many.
She was on 2 calls with Anwar.
Got it.
Anwar. Ooh, he gave me the phonetic pronunciation. We're ready. It called Elise, called Anwar twice. I believed called Caro, called Stan, called Olivia, called Jeff, called Kelly. Homegirl made the rounds, but I don't think all of her calls were successful. Let's talk about her.
She is in my tribe of brothers and sisters, our mentally divergent tribe in a very specific way. And I'm just like, sometimes you have to stop talking, and you have to stop talking so fast to people. Read the space.
Bridget comes across like kind of intense on call sometimes. And if you don't know her, that can be a little bit off-putting. Her paranoid side is definitely coming out, and she'll be the first to admit it. And so first impressions are everything. And if you don't already know who Bridget is, then that could color your impressions of her. And if you do already know who Bridget is, then that just reinforces what you already know. So, yeah.
I think if I were just talking to her in the real world, she and I would be people who would have the conversation where we're both talking at the same time, but also hearing each other at the same time. But not everybody else can do that. So it's just like, you got to recognize when other people can't do that.
Yeah, I was not sure what we were going to get from her because I was not familiar with her before the season started. And I was kind of curious to see how she would react yesterday, and it's not looking positive. If I had to analyze based off just yesterday what I saw, she has a lot of strong opinions, which we love that. But she does come across very intense. at times, and she gets very excited very easy. And sometimes she yells on cam, like on a call, and it's like I don't think it's not meant in a malicious way or like in a nasty way at all, but she just gets so excited and then she just starts yelling, and I'm like, "Ooh, just pause breaks, like eardrums, need like pause, please."
Because Mitchell's never yelled on a call before.
Never. I'm very calm.
I'm ill.
But like it's just
Sorry.
no, that was good. That was a good one. No, that was good. But I think like I'm curious to see where she ultimately what her trajectory is in the season, because based off yesterday, it was very hot or cold. It was very like
Yes.
people either were really on board with her, like Elise was like, I love Bridget. I can't wait to work with her. This is going to be so exciting for us to play this game together.
Luis is down.
Yeah. Anwar wants to play with her. I think Luis wants to play with her. But then you have people who like it didn't go as well with, like Kelly. Obviously, there's tension in that relationship. There's tension between her and Stan. But I think that's more on Bridget than it is on Stan. I think Stan thought that call went fabulously, which it did not.
I love how Bridget started like throwing Stan under the bus for going straight into game talk, though, and I'm like, Bridget, babes.
Oh, she did. She did.
She was just like, Stan, he just like went right into game talk. It was
Right.
so weird. I'm like, I know, Bridget, that was so weird.
After she had been on call with Luis for 2 hours talking game.
Yeah, she's an acquired taste. Never seen it on her.
Alex.
She's an acquired taste, and that's just the type of player she's going to be. I highly relate to this, where people either love you or hate you, and I think that's where she's finding herself in. And I don't know if I don't think the house call did her much service either, because she even went to her prod chat and she was like, "I think I'm talking too much. I think I'm being too like spastic. I think I'm just too all over the place, and that's not going to like rub people the right way." And she would be correct. There were many people who were in their one-on-ones being like, "Bridget talks a lot." And by a lot, they mean a lot.
Yeah, so, not in a good, not in a positive manner. It's gonna be, with Big Brother. The fun thing is like it depends on who wins. Like, so this could either go really well for her to have some enemies, quote unquote, like people that that didn't vibe with her as much that she could target easily, or it could come to her detriment if those people rise to power. That's what's fun about Big Brother dynamic and the Big Brother strategy. So.
I'm sure we'll like get to it, but I only know of 2 people who are interested in winning today, and I don't think either of them would nominate Bridget. So
no, I think
we'll see what happens.
My projection for her is that she'll have a great short-term trajectory. I think she's fine. For a couple rounds, but once we hit like that last pre-juror spot and the beginning of jury, I worry for her. I think that's when, and it kind of like seems it's looking that way. I mean, Elise loving Bridget, which Kelly is clocking out the wazoo. Mm-hmm. Like Kelly is keeping Olivia, Elise, and Bridget at arm's length, which is really freaking funny because that's a foursome that Bridget wants to create, and Kelly wants nothing to fucking do with any of those 3. Kelly just, and we'll talk about Kelly here in a second. Kelly clocking Elise and Bridget being together. Kelly hopped on a call with Louise, and Louise is like, I love Bridget. Kelly's like, and you're out too. Like, Kelly's being very methodical with who she is sharing stuff with, who she is not. Like, I mean, and even the people that Bridget has, I think, are a little skeptical. Jeff's a little wary of her. Anwar is still... Anwar, fucking hell. I just need to write it on my fucking computer. Anwar, fucking hell. This is gonna be the whole. People are gonna clip this together and make it a compilation.
Not your got meek moment.
My got meek moment. He just needs to get. He just needs to get evicted, so I stop looking like an idiot.
My God, no.
But even he's even wary of her because of their power history and how he felt like he was not given a fair chance by her, and he still is thinking like she's still not going to give me a chance versus people like Elise, like Olivia, even though he's wanting an alliance with them together. But Bridget has some interesting trajectory coming forward because it looks like Kelly's willing to call a truce for now until the jury starts, and then she wants her head on a silver goddamn platter.
I feel like a lot of people view her as like their shield because she is so like and this is not the I don't have a better word than other than aggressive, like, and that's not a bad, I don't say that in like a mean way, like, but she's like out in front essentially, like, and I think people view her as like their shield or like a place for them to hide in this game for right now, like, but I don't think they will want to take her to the end or anywhere close to the end.
I mean, do you think, because she did a lot of work socially, I mean, I think she's pretty safe from getting nominated just for a while, just based on like, well, I can't be like, I haven't talked to her because she's talked to everybody, so they can't really use that until later. And I don't know. I think people are also worried about the blowback of nominating her because they know she's not going to be like, oh, okay, I understand you had to do that.
She was even on call with Kelly, and they were both talking about like it's super unlikely that we get nominated, but even if one of us does get nominated, like who would have the votes to get rid of us? So like they're already aware that like people are at least not gonna send them home round one. I mean, it depends on who they're next to, but like I don't even think they're gonna get nominated.
I really hope, just because, you know, I'm on team Messiest timeline, that they don't all get along, because I don't need this block of people, even though I like all of them, to just like run through this game. I'm like, it's boring to me. So please, stay enemies a little bit.
And because really Day Zero is really summarized by like the same 5 or 6 people that get on calls with everybody. So Bridget being one of them, I don't see them being in any danger anytime soon. Oh geez, we'll get into it. We'll get into what you just posted in the private chat. Let's talk about Kelly really quickly. I think Kelly had some really amazing reads today. On Day Zero. Oh, that's why. Oh, abort that.
I think a lot of people would do that. So
I think a lot of people will too. I think Kelly had some really great reads to really attack certain people in terms of grabbing them on immediately. Because I think when she saw Bridget, she knew, because she came with this really terrible strategy of, I'm going to be antisocial, which is the #1 death sentence in this game. And luckily, Kelly immediately just like went back to human nature and snapped out of it, which good move, Kelly.
Who called that on the cast assessment?
Mitchell Stokes. But like,
listen, when you say 500 things, you're bound to get one right at one point.
Let's get a compilation of all the wrong things he said. Just kidding. She leaves all of her friends to call last in the day because she's like, I already know you. Which Bridget did the exact opposite. She goes, I'm going to call my friends first. She's like, not calling y'all. I'm going to call people I don't know. I'm going to call Louise. I'm going to call Caro. I'm going to call Michael. I'm going to call Robbie. And it seems like we're really seeing this trio. It's nothing official yet, but I see it coming very soon, of this Robbie, Michael, Kelly alliance, which I never
would have expected.
But I have to thank, Robbie a little bit. Robbie kind of building that duo between him and Michael really well when they it was both of their first calls. And, Robbie just a little nervous energy because he's just a messy player, and that's just his history, and Michael having no clue what the hell to do. And Robbie's like, here are my tips and tricks. Here they are. And Kelly really latched onto both of them, and they all have this kind of like fun little trio of circle of information where Kelly's like, oh, I called Louise. I really like her. Michael's like, Robbie's like, I really like her too. Robbie runs to his Michael. Should I be like, do you like Louise too? I do like Louise. Oh, great. We all like Louise. Hey, I called with Caro. Do you like Caro? I like Caro. Do you like Caro? We all like Caro. Like, just this fun little like circle of information, and like watching it happen in real time of them all like talking about the same thing, but like telephone. So I'm just waiting for that trio to form very quickly, because it should in the near future.
Yeah, I'm fully expecting it. And like, the call with Robbie and Michael, when
so good.
It was just so nice to see, because like Robbie admittedly does not have the best history, like, or the best like placements in games. So I think like what we were excited about with bringing Robbie into the season was how excited he was about an opportunity to play like an open ID like call experience game. But also knowing that like maybe he's a little messy at times. but he was like so open with Michael about like his opinions on Big Brother, his strategy for Big Brother, how to build alliances, how to like to weed through the information of people. And that's like what we all need the first time you play a game. It's literally like what it is, like the dream situation for somebody to look at you and take you under their wing and say, here's some tips, here's some things to help. And I would not have guessed that Robbie would be the person to do that at the beginning of the season, but I'm so thankful that he did, because I think it really allows Michael to have some leeway and some wiggle room to play this game. I think so often veteran players like want to protect so much of their information. They don't want to share things. They want to just like whatever. But Robbie was so willing to share, and I loved seeing that. And then to see them kind of work throughout the day together with different things. Yeah. And that is true. That is true.
I have a response to this.
And
Go for it.
And
I have to say, Robbie and Michael's call was great, but they both have that same manic energy that I myself am so familiar with. So their energy levels matched, and it worked. And I was thinking the same thing after that call. And then I saw Robbie on calls with like literally anybody else, and I was like, I understand why he goes out now. Like, he's too much and he can't read social cues. When he was on his call with Kelly, who is willing to work with him, but mostly as a like, he's obnoxious. People will definitely take him out before me if they're clocking us together. Like, it's a summary of kind of how she put it. He wasn't clocking that. He was saying things. He was being very candid, which is nice. And she liked that, because obviously you want to feel like somebody's being truthful. But he was also saying things that were like raising the hairs on like her back as he was talking, and I could see it and feel it from her. And she was like, yeah, I like doing things this way. And she's like, I really don't like when people do a thing I'm totally that player, and that's how I do things. And she's like, yeah, that's not really my kind of. He's like, that's how I am, and da 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 da. And he just kept like re-emphasizing it and over talking it at her. She's just like, yeah, that's cool.
Part of being a good ally is knowing how to like when you're looking for allies, you're wanting to look for people who you know will like, they know how to hold back. They know when it's appropriate to do this and when it's appropriate to keep things close to the chest. And I think that's the thing that Robbie has not figured out yet as a player, in like when to hold things close to him and not be that messy player, not be that like bombastic thing. And which is fun. It's good TV. And I'm sure he enjoys playing that character. But I think like to do like long term, to do well, you got to learn when to hold that back. I think that's something that Carl and I both know how to do. We both know how to control our like bombastic side until it needs to come out.
Absolutely.
Literally was like, I don't like when I don't like when it gets dramatic and personal. And he's just like, I always love getting dramatic and personal. Like,
yeah, it's a fun trio, but yeah, like Kelly is not in the long term with either of these two. No. I think
Kelly is like, give me this innocent, lovely child and this like messy person, and I'll work with them as long as it works for me. And then whatever.
It's so smart of her, though. It's so smart of her to pick up people that are going to be looked at way in front of her, because of just like an energy thing. And she can just kind of like float right on by in the middle of all these people. Like it's amazing. Her miss is just truly so
strong.
Yeah, and she sees the big picture here, that this war between her and Bridget, that they're clearly on a truce right now, but it's going to come and be the main storyline eventually. And she's rallying up the troops because Bridget's too focused on the people she already knows, and Kelly's picking up the people she does not know. And it's way easier to flip someone that you know, being like, hey, here's how Bridget is a player. You don't want this. Like, pick me, versus these people who don't know you. And Kelly's going to win this war as of right now, easily. she's going to assassinate Bridget when the time comes. Unless Bridget can win some comps, which Bridget can. Don't get me wrong here. Bridget's not like dead in the water. But Bridget's not as socially aware of what she needs to be doing, even though she's aware that Kelly's after her in the near future. But Bridget's not getting the troops lined. It's like when you're playing Risk and you can see where the troops are coming, and Bridget's just not lining up her forces where she needs to. And it's really confusing from Bridget's perspective, but that's fine. But ultimately, to wrap up, Kelly, Robbie, and Michael, truly great performances from all of them. My only worry with Michael is that his calls were amazing, but they were all very long. And you can't have that kind of stamina. As the game goes on, you have to learn how long these calls should go. Like my longest calls are at like 2 a.m. when we're not doing anything. It's not important. But like when Michael, you haven't called like 10 other people in the cast, gotta speed these up. You gotta get around.
It's because he's from the South. We like to take our time. We like to visit on the porch. You know what I mean? He's gonna give everybody, like, he's just so genuinely excited to meet people. Like, he posted a confessional yesterday that was just like, this is one of my favorite experiences of my life. Like, he's living his best life, and he just loves meeting people. And so I don't think the like, oh, I need to call everybody and make this call quick. Like, that's just not how he's going to ride. No. So, like, I hope someone that, like, has not connected with him doesn't win HOH, but, like...
I think he'll get, like, shook into, like, I had to get kind of jostled into, like, oh, shit. Okay, yeah. Okay, I talked to everybody, but, like, it's on now. All right, let me...
Yeah.
And I think he has that ability, and hopefully he looks really young and innocent, but he's rocking a lot of life experience under his belt that I think can really come into play and help him navigate this as it gets like messier and more treacherous.
Yeah, I wonder with him what his his stamina today is going to be like, because he took 3 or 4 calls yesterday that were all almost an hour, and like it was really fun to watch. I was pretty much on every single minute of his calls yesterday, and it was really fun to watch him be a different person for each person that he talked to. Like when he was talking to Kelly, he almost was kind of doing a more fatherly, like, we have a lot of similar experiences. We can connect on that capacity level. It was so wild. Like, it was so weird. And then like with Louise, he was just like the inquisitive young boy who was like, tell me everything about, like about your culture and about where you grew up. It's so fascinating to me. And, with Robbie, it was like magic. Oh, she does. So like it was just
with Robbie, he did the what?
Yeah, like, he was like, I'm a noob, but please help me. Like,
yeah, he was so he was really adaptive and really great.
That part.
Hey, Sarah.
Yeah, it was just really fun, and I think like I'm hoping we see, but then on the group call last night, he was a very different person. Again, he was just jiving very socially with people, making jokes, trying to like engage in the conversation when he could, and
landed.
Yeah, well,
he was not the only one.
There were. Last night was such a weird group call, and I'm sure we can talk about it later. But like,
we'll get into it.
It was so odd. Like the topics, the
bad stories, jokes that did not land and were so uncomfortable.
There were jokes that were really funny that did not land.
I heard somebody told a story last night, and I was like, y'all just need to go to bed now. No one's gonna win. No one's going to tell anything. That's it. And then somebody came in it was Michael. He wasn't on the call and he didn't know what just happened. And then he like told a cute story, but it's still like, we're all still reeling from what Louise just told us.
But I think like where Michael needs to grow, and this is just something he'll have to learn through experience. Like he was like walking around telling everybody like
everything,
like, oh, I called with this person for an hour. Oh, I talked to this person about, I talked to this person. He was like, oh, Elise, you're so great. I had a really good call with Robbie. And it was like, no.
and you can see Elise, and she did, and they did this also on their call with Bridget, when Bridget and when Michael were saying things that were like important to the game, you can see her literally start typing. Elise has a spreadsheet. They're taking notes on these calls, being like Bridget's like, oh, I know the following 5 people, and Elisa's like, who is that again? They're like, Olivia, Kelly.
Who do you know again? Who do you know again?
They are so good. I'm so excited to see them navigate this. They're just gonna just slip through everything, know everything. I'm so excited about it.
So yeah, hopefully Michael learns when it's time to not share what you're doing in the game, because that's going to expose your people like Robbie, and you're going to find yourself on the block with Robbie, and then he will be saying what Nia or whatever the hell, I don't know. It's some impression. Let's get into our last 3 people who kind of are all similar in the same way, just really were themselves, authentically themselves, and were on a lot of calls, and I think it really boded well for them. That would be Elise, it would be Luis, and it would be Caro. Our last 3 standouts from day 0, just all, did what they needed to do, got on calls for as long as they needed to be, let the calls be authentically, like, just organic. They lasted as long as they should have been, and really were winning people over. People coming to their project being like, oh, I really like Elise. Oh, I really like Caro. Elise's only downside on day 0 was that Kelly just knows that Elise likes Bridget, and that's really the only downside to Elise, and that's not something Elise can really fix right now until Bridget's gone. Like, that's just not something Elise is going to be able to fix. But really, all 3 of them had really successful calls, and if any of the 3 of them, I'd rope in Kelly, I'd rope in Michael. If any of those want the head of household, they probably could get it. Which we'll get into, because one of those 3 has expressed wanting it. But
I do think 2 have.
Oh,
based off. I think you're referring to Louise.
I am referring to
another one
Louise.
In that group.
But Michael and Stan were talking last night about betting on themselves with the coin.
They were,
and like, we should bet on ourselves to win. And like, I think
Stan did say that he wants it.
Potentially could come down to the 3 of them as like our play, our HOH. It would be interesting to see what happens between the 3 of them. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. But any big thoughts on those 3? But specifically, the only thing I want to talk about is, because it leads in, or it really closed up this Michael discussion, is Caro was like the only person after a call with Michael to be like typing in their chat being like, yeah, so he shared with me all these things, and therefore I can't trust him. And I think other people are thinking it. It's just Caro's the only one to vocalize that, being like, ooh, I want you close, but not that close. I want you to be close to me, so you give me all the info, but I'm not giving you anything that is proprietary information, because you're going to spread that, and that ain't it.
Caro was so... I didn't see all of her calls, but she was so natural on the calls I did see. I was just like, oh, she's so good. Like, she's
so chill. I think sometimes, like, for me yesterday, it almost read as like, and again, I don't have a better word other right now in my head other than like flippant. Like, it was like casual. It's just like, so like, oh, it's fine. Like, oh, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like it was like, but like, she's so in it. Like, we know she's in it, because then she comes to her prod chat and says X, Y, and Z thing about each call. So it's like, she's very off-putting. Let me put it that way. Like, she's very good at disarming the person that she's on call with. And I think like, she's got her head in the game, and like, but she doesn't show it, which is very like, it's such a good skill. And I think that's what I'm trying to get at here, is that like, Caro was just like a sponge yesterday with the people that she called with. She was just kind of like, oh, very cool, like very like disarming, very like nonchalant, like letting, getting information, and then we'll probably be in a really good position come tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes. Who was the other one? I knew there was Louise. I feel like we've kind of talked about her. What else is it? Amazing. Love her. She's great. She's so entertaining.
She finds a way, like when her internet's being a shit show, to still make it an enjoyable call, even though you can't really understand what the fuck she's saying, because it's robotic as hell. But people are still having a good time and enthralled on a call when you can't even really understand what the fuck she's saying. I don't get it. She's so good. And I was on almost all her calls, because she's just so fun.
I was like, she has so much, like, because she's from Europe and originally from Estonia and now in the UK, she has so much storytelling, and she has so much, even just day-to-day life is different for her than it is for us here in America. So she has so much to grasp onto, and she was telling so many great stories and so many insights. And then she just came out like a freaking king and just destroyed everybody with like the best story ever last night. And it's just like, she's just like an endless fountain of just talk about stuff. I want to listen. Could
No,
never run
literally, like
out.
Louise can talk about what she had for breakfast, and people are going to be
Yes.
enthralled because she is from a different continent. And so, like, just the fact of that alone is enough to just like people be like, "Wow, tell me more." And it's like it's amazing.
Players. These
And she
people
knows-
in foreign lands. Watch
Yeah.
out.
She knows how to weaponize it. And I think that's her
Yes.
strength. Like, yes, is she an interesting person? Obviously. Is she hilarious? Absolutely.
Very.
But she has this really amazing skill to take our dumb American curiosity and weaponize it against all of the people that are in this game. She had 12 people last night eating out of the palm of her hand. And she and Luis truly was the number one dominant person on that call, that group call last night. Nobody said anything about it. She said the most words. She dictated the most conversation. She led the discussion. And everybody was like, wow, Bridget's talking a lot. Wow, Jeff is talking a lot. Nobody said, wow, Luis talked like for like 40% of the conversation tonight. And she has that amazing skill to just weaponize like the fact that she's different against everybody else who is like just so enamored with her.
Even down to the fact that her partner is American. So she's like, she has at-home level practice on top of playing like a bunch of games. It's like even the boyfriend who's American, and she's just like, oh, I know these things that my boyfriend thinks are weird about what I say or how I talk culturally, and you can use it.
Yeah, and when it comes down a little bit, but we still heard you. What?
So, real-time update. The plague started.
Oh, it did.
And
for the record,
Robbie plagued Anwar within 2 seconds.
Oh, seconds. Literally. So for those who don't know the plague or how it works, what happens is one person is selected by random draw to start off the plague. They are safe for the week. Because it's unfair. Because basically, if you get the plague, you're not the head of household. So it's unfair for like random draw to take you out of the competition, and you like have no say in the week. In terms of winning head of household, if you're a target, like that's really shitty and terrible. So Robbie was pulled by random draw. He is safe for the week, but he gets to kick off the plague. And typically, when we see the plague usually starts off pretty slow because the first person is like making the rounds, being like, do you want it? Can I plague you? It usually starts off with like, who can I plague? Oh my goodness, like who's not gonna be mad at me? Within literal seconds, Robbie goes, what's his name?
Anwar.
I'm so bad. I don't want to fuck it up again. Anwar. Jesus. God.
I will be making a meme of Trixie Mattel got me.
Anwar. Yeah, but literally like Robbie ran to his project, was like Anwar, and K-Pow was like, final answer, and he goes, yep. Like we've just never seen someone like and that person.
I spoke too soon 5 minutes ago. Stan just told Jeff.
Alphabetically.
Stan just told Jeff that Luis and Jeff were the two most active people on the main call. So Stan clocked it, which is interesting.
But Jeff's
Stan, that's kind of Stan's bit is storytelling, and Luis took it from him. So he saw his own technique being used.
And Jeff's pretty pissed that Stan is telling him that he was pretty active on the call, because Jeff, as much as he wants to be under the radar, just can't fucking help himself. He just can't. So let's talk about these kind of like middle ground players who I think did a good job on day 0. Like nothing to like write home about by any fucking means. I would say that is Anwar. I would say that's Jeff. I would say that's Jimbo. I'd say that's Kadri. and I'd say that is Olivia.
Olivia,
I'd say all of them were like middle ground, did what they needed to do, made the rounds, talked to people. A couple of them got on a call or two, but like nothing was like exceptional.
What
I
about
think.
What about Veronica? You have Veronica in the middle tier or the bottom tier?
Mess.
In terms of activity level, Veronica was definitely middle tier. But in terms of
absolutely
perception,
yeah,
not amazing.
I agree. Yeah, this is middle ground of like just did their job. I think Jeff was probably the most successful of the bunch. I think Jeff really found those like niches of conversation that really latched people onto him, which he just has such a knack for. He has a knack for getting to know someone and then finding that one thing they have in common and making that the focal point of their conversation, which really, and people are coming to the project being like, I really like Jeff. I like that Jeff talks about things that I'm interested in, versus it just being like surface level crap about like what you're doing in the day. I think Jeff did a really great job of that. And don't get me wrong, I don't think Jimbo has anything to write home about. I think Jimbo thrives more in one-on-one conversations and did not do super great on the house call. But that's also just not Jimbo's vibe in terms of like what he likes and what he wants to be around. But all of them, I think, will be safe this round. I don't think any of them are in trouble, but I do think they all need to step up their game in terms of calling people and having more intentional conversation. Olivia was a shocking one. I guess I expected more from Olivia because she'd been so ready. But ultimately,
she was amped up. She was like ready to go. Like I was just like, wait. I thought about it. I was like, where's Olivia today?
I do think that she had recognized pretty quickly the like Kelly Bridget of it all, and she was like, okay, let me take a back seat to this.
Which being super active on day zero is not a guarantee. Is not a like foolproof strategy to do well in this game. In fact, it can get you in trouble in games. So like, I'm not shading it by any means. I guess I just was expecting different.
Oh, I agree. No, I agree 100%.
Yeah, like I don't think she did anything wrong by any means. I just guess I was just expecting like a Bridget level of excitement to call people. And Olivia, I think, hopped on one call with Bridget and it was cut short because of the house call. But overall, all of them doing what they need to do, nothing crazy. But let's get into the people.
While we're here, should we talk about Kadri for a second?
Yeah, I think Kadri did I think Kadri does. It's very Monica. He's giving me very Monica vibes. Like, does well on calls. Like, oh my god, people are obsessed with him. When he would talk, people are busting out laughing, having a great time, really loving him. Elise really likes Kadri and wants to.
Their call last night was really good.
Like these veterans clocking the newbie players they want to pick up. Kelly being like, ooh, Robbie's on a newbie, but Robbie and Michael are people who are newer to this cast and are unknown. I'm grabbing them. Elise latching on to Kadri. They're doing what they need to do. But Kadri's one-on-one chats just aren't great. They're just fine. Like they're not bad. They're just
he's not active. He's not as active as he needs to be right now. And he needs to get clued into the game that's happening around him. Just like Robbie did it for Michael, Kadri needs somebody to be like, hey, I really want to work with you, but like you're not giving me what you need to give me right now. And I think that could be. I mean, Kadri's hilarious. His DR is so funny. Like him reacting to things that were happening in his DR, like during the group call. He's a funny person, and he can communicate well via text. He just needs to be a little bit more intentional about doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was thinking more of like his opinion of Veronica.
I was going to bring.
He does not.
Are we going to wait for that? Okay.
I was going to bring it up when we talk about Veronica, but let's bring it up now because we can basically segue into the people who aren't doing super well.
Before that, who told the VL that Kadri doesn't like animals?
I don't know.
I think that was not me.
I was holding that back, but there it is.
Oh no!
There it is.
I didn't tell anyone.
Kadri, we ruined your reputation in the VL. Sorry, babes.
I read that and cried a little bit, and I was like, I'm not gonna put that in the VL. That's just too harsh. Somebody did it.
I didn't, so Kadri, we're still friends.
I want to also say before we talk about the people who quote unquote aren't doing well, I thought everybody had a good day 0. So
Yeah,
like in terms of
it's all
we talked about at the
relative.
beginning, yeah, it is relative because there was the fact that we're gonna talk about Veronica and Claudia and Jacob kind of at the
and Stan.
bottom, and Stan kind of at the bottom tier here. They were all active. They all did everything that they needed to do in a normal, beginning first start of an org. There's always going to be that somebody that's inactive, but that just wasn't the case here. And so what they did in comparison to everybody else was not as good to help them be successful going forward in this game.
I hope any other season they would be middle tier. Okay.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just this cast. Yeah.
Season 17.
Yeah, this cast just came to fucking play, and it's unfortunate that these 4 find themselves at the bottom of the rankings. But let's talk about Veronica. I think Veronica has 2 really great connections in Anwar and Jeff.
Yeah.
We're gonna get this by day 9 when he gets evicted. Just kidding. I said Anwar was middle ground. And I guess I didn't give him enough roses for his performance on day 0. Anwar surprised me pleasantly that he did not, there were times where he got a little messy, but
he's just gonna he's gonna
word vomits so much.
On calls not his forte.
No, he held back a lot actually, on the group call because and the work he was doing in his one-on-one chats via text is actually pretty good, but on call he's a lot. He is.
He was also drunk last night, which does not help. He got on call with Kelly, and it was a disaster. It was just a mess. But anyway, pleasantly surprised. Yeah, Veronica has 2 really great connections in Anwar and Jeff, but that's kind of where it ends.
She rubbed a lot of. She is. My read on Veronica is that you're either going to connect with her and love her, or you're going to have a difficult time connecting to her. It's not just it's either it's very, there's no middle. It's either very much I get Veronica versus I don't understand this person and it's hard for me to talk to them. I think that's going to I think that's the 2 sides of this we're going to see. I don't think we're going to see a lot of middle ground on Veronica. And so Anwar and Jeff really connected with her. They found things that they had in common with her. They were willing to listen to her. And then you had other people on the other side of that were I can't follow what she's saying. I can't connect to what she's saying. And she, in my opinion, I think she hurt herself a little bit on the group call. She was, she was doing a great job of trying to be vocal and trying to engage in the conversation and be a part of the things that were happening. But she just wasn't always reading well, what she was saying and how it contributed to the conversation. I think a lot of times she kind of would go on her own tangent about what popped into her head versus the flow of the conversation that everybody else was having. And I think people were kind of they kind of led to some pauses, or it kind of led to some awkward gaps because they're wait, well, that wasn't really related to what we said.
She tried so hard to fill in awkward pauses and then made them more awkward over and over. It just kept happening. There was a silence. People were looking around. She said something. It got even more uncomfortable. More it just kept happening. I was like, oh God.
Yeah, and people had very strong reactions, Kadri included. Kadri went to his project and was like, yeah, no, we're not feeling this gal. But I think Kadri's doing a great job of hedging his bets here. I think he had a really strong one-on-one chat with Veronica, even though he does not really care for her. And so when he told Elise the truth on the call last night, being I don't like her, he's hedging his bets. If Elise, which Elise is not going to, but if Elise ever down the road is hey, Kadri doesn't like you, Veronica, just heads up, Kadri's putting in the work in the one-on-one chat so that it doesn't necessarily become an immediate believable lie or a believable statement that he made. Because I think people struggle with making, trying to bluff the enemy. I think when people don't like someone, they just stop talking to them. So when someone comes in hey, Kadri doesn't like you, it's like, oh, that kind of makes sense because he doesn't talk to me as much, but like he's putting in the work. So if Veronica gets told that, Veronica's gonna be like, my one-on-one chat's really strong with him. That's interesting that you would say that. So maybe there becomes some doubt there, and then she confronts Kadri on it, and Kadri's able to talk himself out of it. So I think Kadri's being smart and intentional with that. But yeah, Veronica's in that spot of like, could be a nominee, could not be a nominee. It just kind of depends on who wins today. I just don't know.
And it depends on who throws her under the bus. If, like, because she could be someone that people would be really easy to part ways with because she is a more experienced player, and there might be the sentimentality of like, well, we don't want to just boot a newbie right away, like that would suck, maybe like she could be like a sacrificial lamb in that regard as well. So
yeah, let's
That's
talk about the
cast
other
assessment. Oh, I was just
No,
gonna
you
say,
go.
like in the like that's why I said in the cast assessment, like Veronica is not going to change who she is to adapt to a situation, and she is unapologetically herself, and it's on the rest of the cast to take it or leave it and adapt to the way that she communicates and like what she likes. And yeah, so it's super refreshing to see someone that is just going to be themselves. But like, if it is polarizing, that's just what comes with it. But yeah, Veronica, like, I think Veronica's problem in the Hive was that I think she was viewed as a bit inactive, and I don't think she's inactive at all. Like, she's been very like talkative, but I think it's just a matter of like whether this cast is going to like.
Well, and she was only
Accept.
really talkative with a few people.
Yeah. Everything
Like,
else was pretty like, hi, how are you?
They're very surface. Outside of her chat with on now, Carl's got me second guessing myself. Anwar and with Jeff. It's because you said it wrong so many times. It's now it's an earworm in my ear. It's your fault. This is not me. I've known how to say it since the minute that I met this person. Okay.
Anwar, I hope you know that Mitchell is fucking up your own name. Just saying.
Oh my god.
But yeah, let's talk about the other veteran who I think is in hot water for very different reasons. Let's go to Dr. Stan Lee.
Crystal?
Very similar.
No.
Wait, is she frozen?
Did it just freeze?
She
It
froze.
froze on
She was
that
like,
face,
she
yes.
said, never mind. She said, I take back my draft pick.
No. I'm also completely unsurprised, and this is expected. Like, this was my biggest concern about him, and he's doing exactly what I thought he would do, and I'm like, don't do that. But you did it. I'm like, whatever, do it. It's fine.
Like,
he's just not. He's not. My biggest concern was because he's very like, he doesn't think he has to do much, and a lot of times he doesn't, and he just kind of slides by. So I don't know if there's literally no one who's inactive, really. Like, it's such an active field that his strategy of sliding by might just bite him in the butt, and he might be the first one out. So sorry about it.
like, yeah, he much like Veronica, he has picked his people that he wants to talk a lot to. Jeff being one of them. Again, Jeff doing a great job of getting those people that really are invested in him. To talking to certain people. Claudia. Oh, he loves Claudia. He loves Jeff. His boba people. I don't remember who the other people are.
The optics of Claudia and Stan will keep them from being nominated together. So
yeah, like Stan did not put in a ton of effort in terms of really getting to know people. Like his favorites are people who like the boba drink, like, which I think shows you Stan's level of commitment to some of these people. Is like, I like them because they like boba. Girl, it's been 24 hours. You need to like people for better reasons than the fact they like boba. Just saying. I mean, hell, fucking Jeffrey Dahmer could like boba. Doesn't mean you should like him. Someone can fact check that. I don't know. I don't fucking know.
So much serial killers.
Well, speaking of serial killers, yeah.
Not that. No.
That might have been my favorite interaction yesterday, was when Anwar said He said that
That
Michael,
Michael
was
was
like Ted,
Ted
Bundy.
Bundy cute.
And he was cute, and I was like, "Girl, Ted Bundy was a serial killer."
Yeah, I was like, girl, like there are better people to call cute. Timothy Chalamet, Tom Holland. Like
Ted
there are
Bundy's
many
got
other
a
people
lot
you
of
could
groupies, which is upsetting.
just such a weird comparison. My God, so fucking weird. But yeah, Stan just did not like get into the deep level that other players did, and I was like, all right, like he needs to hop on calls. These calls are going to benefit him, and I think that's something that Stan would like more than having to like just text people. It'd be call people. Then he had his one call with Bridget, which went horrible.
Not great. He
Like-
just doesn't. He doesn't deep dive with people. He likes to keep things light and surfacey, and that just might like you gotta dive in in Big Brother hometowns.
Yeah, you got to get to know someone, and like him and Bridget immediately were like, we played Voyage whatever together. Phyllis was walking up the stairs. He could tell me, is it Voyage
Or you
8,
have to
Voyage
be
9?
RP.
Like, but like they didn't really get to know each other, and like Stan kind of like missed that opportunity to like really get to know her before immediately jumping into game, which as much as we said like, oh, Bridget talked about game, a lot of people talked about like game very surface level. Like he was the only person to really be like, there's a big alliance starting, we really should get on that, and like actually like discuss like where people should be betting their coins. Like he hopped right into it. Girl, you were robbed, pushed, disgusted. I'm still mad about it. Whatever season that was, Jabbar. He missed that step. It's like when you're a kid and you want to like jump down the stairs and it never ends well because you break your ankle because you jumped too far. Like he very much was like, and missed a couple steps. And in the wrong HOH will put him on the block today.
For sure. I mean, he's probably top of a lot of lists to go up. So
Bridget would put Stan up.
Yeah.
Bridget did not care for
Would
Stan
she?
at all on that call.
Yeah, but
But
like,
does that mean she would put him up first?
I mean, she got a lot of
I
red
feel like-
flags from him and went around on multiple calls slandering him, being like, he's too invested in the game. He's already jumping to game. He already thinks it's a majority alliance. I mean, I don't think you go around slandering someone like that on multiple calls if you're not willing to put them up. Kind of a dumb move on my part. If I'm going around saying that, oh, Max Teddy is playing this game too hard, and I'm telling that to multiple people, you bet your ass I'm putting your ass on the block and sending you out the door if I can. Because if that gets back around to you,
I'm worried though that Bridget is not going to want to put up anybody that she knows if she wins. You know what I mean?
Bridget's not going to win this at a household. Period. Kelly won't let it happen.
Kelly just told Anwar that she wants to be plagued, like right now. Anwar's not around yet, but yeah,
no, he's asleep. What a beautiful thing to wake up to for him.
Yeah,
right.
Really.
Also, Robbie has COVID right now, and he got picked for the plague, and I just think so. Like, how did Josh do it?
Everyone go to Orgodroma. Josh is heartless.
Expose him.
Yeah. Do I think Stan will be first boot? No. But could I see him on the block today? Absolutely. Especially if he doesn't, because he's not. He needs to pick it up today. Because I'm looking at the Discord right now. Still not seeing a ton of activity from him. Mm-hmm. And that could be a death sentence in and of itself. Like day 0 only means so much. If you're not around day 1, that also plays a factor into things. If people haven't heard a ton from you, it's an easy way. Like recency bias is a huge thing. So he needs to make some things happen if he's gonna, especially when I forget who it's giving me vibes from. It's very Anthony, funny enough, from BBH16. When you talk about game with people and talk about alliances and these things, and then you don't get included in something with Stan, people go, oh, so you're doing something without me. And I feel like that's what's going to catch up to him. It was very Anthony in the early game of BBH15, and it's how Hammond saw Anthony, being like, you talk to me about all these alliances and wanting to do things, and then you don't ever add me to something. So I know you're doing stuff, just not with me. And that's really frustrating. And I think that's what's going to catch up to him in the next couple of rounds. It's like, you talk all this game, but I'm not in your game. So what's the tea, honeybee? So I'm a little concerned for him in the early. I could see Stan as a breacher as of right now.
Well, he has the benefit of just not talking to that many people. So
yeah. But let's talk into our final 2 people who easily could be our 2 nominees. And if they are, I'm disgusted. I'm vomiting. I hate it here. I don't want this. That would be Claudia who I think just had a really just slower start because she's on the West Coast, and I don't think she truly got clued in into what she needed to be doing because she was talking a lot in the main chat, and people were like, not her ignoring me in my one-on-one chat, and she didn't really realize she had one-on-one chats until like 2 hours like after she came into the main chat, which was already later than everyone else. Like I think she just had a slower start than everyone else, but like still was active, had good one-on-one chats. I just think her soft personality is not shining through yet, and I could see her being a nominee for that reason, which is disgusting and horrible and terrible.
If she gets on a call, I think she could drastically change her fate. Like if she were to call with Louise today, or like whoever is the HOH, like I think again, just like with Kadri, he needs someone to say, "Hey, girl, like let's go, like we need to get on a call. I want to talk to you," because she was really fun on the main chat, and on the call last night. I think she was like she has a lot of really natural like social ability, and I think she could do really well in a game like this. She just needs to be given the chance to do it because somebody tells her, includes her in. So
yeah,
and maybe that person is Veronica. Veronica's the first person to say to Claudia that she wants to call with her. So like that, like maybe that person will be Veronica, or at least it'll jumpstart it. Like, oh yeah, people are calling in the game, and like we need to. Like, I need to get on more calls with other people.
Yeah. Oh, did we lose Crystal?
We did.
Oop, rip girl. Hope you're well. We definitely lost her. Yeah. So she's back. Oh, but her device is not connected. Rip. Yeah, Claudia. I mean, not much to say other than might just be a victim of circumstances right now. Just not. And I think it's what's the phrase like I can't even think of it, but like anyone talking about you is good publicity, like even if it's negative, like at least people remember that you're around. I think people, like, if I was to cold call all these 16 house guests and be like, name the cast without looking at the Discord, I think Claudia and I think Jacob find themselves as the last two people named. And that's because, even though Veronica and Stan, I think, are having more critiques about who they are in the game, people remember them. And that those could still be perceived as like bad noms because it's like they're being talked about. No one's talking about Jacob and Claudia. And those are the easier noms because who's going to be mad about that? So let's talk about Jacob. I think Jacob had such a great start to the day. And then work kind of just got in the way, and he, fell, which is no one, in the words of Susie Colbo, I'm not shaming anyone for having a job. And I think he know. The thing is, though, the difference between him and Claudia, he knows that he's not in a great spot. He knows it.
That at several.
He sent a screenshot of everybody's little icons on the house call, and he's like, "Damn it!" Like he knows.
So I'm hoping. And it seems super late. It seemed around like 9 p.m. his time. He really tried to mess people, being like, "Hey, are you doing anything right now?" Like it seemed like he had the intention to get on calls, but for whatever reason, everyone went to bed decently early. So it was a little too late. So I'm hoping today he's able to change that.
I'm hoping he's off today. I'm hoping that he can get on some calls and talk to people, because I thought, again, like Claudia, I thought he was really fun on the main call when he was there. And I thought he was jiving and meshing well with people. Like this cast is really team good vibes so far. Like they really seem to enjoy each other. They really seem to like each other. Just like off the initial jump here. And so it is going to be sad to like whoever gets going up. And I think like we can probably transition to the happenings that have been happening over the course of the last hour, because there is some fun stuff to report.
Yes, there is. I'm guessing you're talking about the Robbie and Carol call.
Yeah. So K-Pal, thank you for your updates. Robbie and Carol have had a call in the last little bit of time, and they are talking about an alliance of Carol, Robbie, Michael, Louise, and Kelly.
Period.
Is it is exciting. What a fun group of people if that is an alliance that comes together. I am a little concerned about it because Luis is so tied to a lot of other people, and I wonder how truthful Luis would be to that alliance. Ultimately-
Louise in an amazing spot. Kalor be shocked.
Right, exactly.
Come on
But like,
You.
oh god, okay. But I think it would be a super fun alliance. I just don't know how well. Again, Kelly has already expressed some distrust in Luis.
Oh yeah, like that group does not.
So
that group does not trust each other because Kelly doesn't trust Louise because Louise likes Bridget. Kelly already doesn't want Robbie and Michael to go super far because she knows Michael's likable and she really just wants Robbie as a shield. Caro doesn't trust Michael because Michael leaks too much. Oh, this alliance is a disaster.
Actually, yeah, that's not great.
But so was Baker's dozen.
Oh, absolutely.
Well,
it was, and you all made it to jury, so.
And then it absolutely burned to fucking hell.
Until they messed it up, and then they all left one after the other.
Like, easily could see that a lot. I mean, we've been saying this since the cast doesn't like this season is giving us very 13 teas, and honestly, this could be the baker's dozen that gets them all to jury, and then it just absolutely collapses and they cannibalize each other to the end.
And then Louise gets to the end and wins the whole season.
No, because then Max wins the draft.
Please.
Absolutely fucking not.
Absolutely yes.
Get Kelly to the end.
And Ellie's good too. Yeah.
But basically, that five-some, which isn't formed yet, just in the talks, their plan is to push Louise to become the first head of household, which we were talking about earlier today as like abort that because she wants to put up Jacob and Claudia, which we hate and abhor so much. Not. I mean, I would hate any. I'm gonna hate any nominations.
Okay going up?
No, I'd hate any nominations. That I guess I would.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna be not problematic, but like it's gonna sound hypocritical as someone who's going to maybe eventually play a game. I would like to see two veterans on the block. I just don't want to see two newbies on the block like in their first round who have done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Like they just don't understand that what they've done is just less than everyone else. So like
yeah,
I don't want them to be punished for that. Like Veronica and Stan are veterans and have messed up.
Yeah.
On day zero. They should be punished.
We need Veronica and Stan and Claudia and Jacob when they get the plague to not fall victim to this like, yeah, you can give me the plague, but that is gonna that's gonna happen by like Caro and Robbie's out, but Kelly maybe. Like they're gonna try and work this, which is smart. We'll play the game. But like what I really need is for one of them to be like, no, I didn't talk to Louise and plagued.
Yeah. So yeah, like honestly, they're and that's what we love about the plague. It takes one like in 15 it happened as well. Like you let the wrong person get too far in the plague, they can fuck up the entire plan for everyone because people love to game this out. And I'm so happy a group of people is doing this at the very fucking beginning because it irritates me every season when people get to the final like 6 left. They're like, maybe we should start thinking about planning it out and promising people safety and things. It's like you should have been doing this from the beginning. Map this out. Game it. It's a gaming game. And I'm happy that they're finally thinking about it. So like they need to be plaguing, and Robbie does this perfectly, plague someone who is unpredictable. Get him out of the plague ASAP and leave the people in who you can absolutely manipulate to do what you want. So they're doing a fabulous job of it. But if they let Jacob or Claudia get too far, they might be like, ooh, no, Louise, absolutely not. I don't want that. So I'm going to play her.
They're going to lose someone right away that they could probably use to help them game this, and because Bridget does want Anwar to plague her, so they're going to lose Bridget there, and then they can't really necessarily use her later down the road to pull one of these people out. So, because actually, Bridget probably will plague Stan. So,
oh gosh, Caro is telling Robbie that Michael is very close to Elise and overshares. Yikes.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes.
Where are you saying that?
On the call? Are you on the call?
Chat.
Oh, in their chat.
It's in their chat.
Oh, gotcha. I was sitting here as a K-Pow didn't update them. That's like, K-Pow, what you doing? Just kidding. Okay, I haven't read anyone's chats from this morning. But that basically brings us to the end of day zero. I mean...
But they're doing it... Sorry, Carl. They're doing it in a way that's like, we have to clue him in to not say X, Y, and Z thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Yeah,
But
clue them in. Let them know.
yeah, exactly. Which it's what's so infuriating about these games is they're like, oh, it's a newbie player. I don't want to sit here and have to coach them. No, like just give them a little push
They don't need that
and they'll
much.
figure it out. Like I'm not asking you to take the training wheels off the bike just yet. Just
Right.
give them a little bit of
Plus,
push with the
like,
training wheels, and then eventually you can take them off.
if you give them a little instruction and they execute it well, you've learned something. Like, oh, okay, this person is
Can
awake
function.
and sees what's going on and took this information and did it right. And then if they take the information and F it up, you're like, okay, then I think we're done here. Have a great time.
Yeah, and Michael's very, very intelligent. Michael knows, like, once he gets, because he takes critiques and takes advice well and applies it. So once they give that advice and being like, hey, don't tell people that you like other people or that you're on call with other people, don't do that, he's gonna cut it out. So, but that brings to the end of day zero, a really fun, entertaining day zero. A house call full of poop, horror, serial killers. If you want more information, DM any one of us. Fun house call, fun talks, and a really fun pre-jury that this is shaping up to be. With it seeming very fluid. I have no clue where it's going, but like I'm just liking that everyone is willing to talk to everyone, and I don't know what's going to happen. So stick with us as the plague, and we have 2 nominees at the end of the day. And we'll be back tomorrow at 10:30. Hopefully, as long as work pending. I'll be back at 10:30 with someone. I got to look at the signups and find someone to talk about the plague and everything that happens on day 1. But we're very excited for the season. I hope y'all are as well. And just one more time, plugging March Madness. I'll post it in a little bit on the Facebook page. I'll post in the Discord as well if you want to be involved in that. But for me, Max Teddy, Mitchell Stokes, and Crystal, we're peacing out, and we'll catch you in the Discord. Stay thirsty, my friends. Bye.